Just the amount of pro-gun news, obviously I'm not covering it story by story because that would be multiple videos a day. So I've been doing these recaps. So let's take a recap on what's been going on lately. First one, Hulu stops anti-gun advertisements from being on their channel because they're controversial and sensitive. Now, way back when Facebook decided they were no longer going to allow guns on their platform, me and my dad had a conversation because at that point in time, the store's customer base was primarily based off of Facebook and about what the future may look like. This was like 10 years ago, so I don't remember the conversation verbatim, but the gist of the conversation and the point of the conversation was, it's alright because they're just setting themselves up for failure. The people that are anti-gun, they don't want to see guns, period. Whether that's a pro-gun ad or an anti-gun ad. So as long as these anti-gun ads keep running, it will eventually make them angry at the anti-gun people. The point is, their main slogan is, things are dangerous out there, we need to ban guns. So the underline of their message is, self-defense is not okay. And at some point in time, people are going to keep seeing these, and then they're going to look into it themselves, and they're going to be like, is self-defense okay? They keep talking about how dangerous America is. Why wouldn't I want to have a gun to defend myself? Well, that started to it happened a lot later than I expected. I expected, you know, like 1, maybe 2 years, and all of a sudden, anything gun-related would be banned from an advertisement. But yeah, so Hulu made that step. They're like, no anti-gun advertisements on here because of the sensitivity of that particular topic, and it's very controversial, and we just don't want that on our platform. Because remember, the true anti-gun people, they don't want to see them, period. And without the pro-gun ad being there, like, hey, buy the Blaster 5000 for the best defense, and them going like, why would somebody need that? That gets balanced out with the anti-gun argument, like, why would someone need that? Remove buy the Pro Blaster 5000, and then the anti-gun ads are like, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and they slowly convince their own audience that things are really dangerous out there. And slowly, over time, a matter of time, they convince their own audience that, hey, you know, self-defense isn't necessarily a bad thing. With everything that's going on, why would I not want to defend myself? And the biggest pro-gun advertisement that ever happened in America was the lockdowns. It affected basically every single American. There was no American not affected by that. Millions and millions and millions of people flopped from being anti-gun, there's no reason you would need this, to, well, I do. They might not, but I need it. And it's switching the political scene. Alright, so while I was editing the video, I stumbled across this. So Hulu actually was forced to reverse their decision. Remember, forced. Now listen to the justifications of why they need anti-gun ads on there, and you'll see exactly what I'm saying. They actually highlight my point for me. It's pretty crazy.
The streaming service Hulu says it will start accepting advertising about contentious political issues like abortion rights and gun control. The policy change follows a backlash earlier this week on social media from Democratic groups protesting the fact the streaming service refused to run some of their ads. For them to block us from being able to communicate the gravity of the times that we are in was hugely problematic for us, said Julie Norton, founding partner at Mosaic Communications, a media consultancy firm that buys ads for Democratic clients. Since Hulu's parent company, Disney, announced Wednesday it would bring the streamer into alignment with its cable services and allow political ads to run, Norton said her firm now might be able to work with the streamer. We just have a broader definition of television these days, Norton said. So these platforms are a critically important way of getting our persuasion advertising to the voters.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm personally excited to see what type of possible pro-abortion ads they can come up with. I'm imagining something like this. One night stand? No problem. Unsightly stretch marks? No problem. Cramping in the belly? Don't worry about it. For 3 easy payments of $19.99, we can go in there with a vacuum and just clean that right on up. The next really crazy thing that happened in the gun world was the lawsuit against Century Arms for the Wasser 10. Not so much the lawsuit itself, because that happens all the time. That's just a thing. That's what they do. However, the lawsuit takes this crazy angle. And the crazy angle is that because a Wasser 10 could be fitted with a bump stock, which the ATF has determined to be a machine gun, well, that's easily convertible. Therefore, any semi-automatic that can be fitted with a bump stock should also be considered a machine gun because it's easily convertible. There was a bunch more to the lawsuit than that, but the gist of it is these ridiculous things that the ATF has made a machine gun is now coming back to bite them. Because now a judge needs to decide they're right, because they are. All semi-automatic rifles with these things that are not machine guns, but the ATF has determined a machine gun, makes them easily convertible. So do I rule all semi-automatics are machine guns and literally get crucified by the political scene? Or do I rule that no, the ATF is wrong and these things are not machine guns? Because if they were, it would make all semi-automatics easily convertible to machine guns. They're putting the judge in a hard place. I'm actually surprised they did this because that does. It makes judges have to rule the ATF is wrong, or yes, all semi-automatic firearms are in fact a machine gun. Like the rare breed trigger, bump stock, like all that. That basically determines all semi-automatic rifles as a machine gun because it's easily convertible. All you have to do to convert an AR-15 to a machine gun, according to the ATF, is take off the stock, which is literally just pulling down on a tab, you remove the stock, and then you slide the bump stock on. Now you gotta change the pistol grip too, but that's not the point. The point is, that is the definition of easily convertible. You can do that in like 2 or 3 minutes, which makes all AR-15s a machine gun. However, AR-15 is the most commonly used rifle in America, and according to the Heller decision, you can't restrict a firearm that's in common use. Common usage is the key here, same with Scrabble. So, now the judge is at like, okay, so I can say, yes, the ATF is right, all semi-autos are a machine gun, or no, the ATF is wrong. The point is, they put him into a position where he's got to make a decision. That or he's just got to, like, throw out the case and somehow get it off of his desk. Like, whoa, I don't want that on my desk. But you can't do that, and they're just going to keep pushing the issue. It's really, really crazy because that is another huge step in the pro-gun world. That decision should have been made years ago, but it hadn't. Speaking of crazy things you guys need to look into rare breed triggers. Heard some pretty crazy rumors. I haven't seen anyone cover it, but if the rumors are true, quietly, secretly into the night, somebody's getting prosecuted with a rare breed trigger to be a machine gun. I've looked for the case, I can't find it. However, if you do find it, get that to like Jared from Guns and Gadgets, or John Crump, or Arms Scholar, or one of the great pro-gun people out there, because if the rumors are correct, they're secretly prosecuting him to get the first conviction on a rare breed trigger. Set precedents on case law. Yeah, it only sets it in trial. The point is, find this guy, someone, and get that information to like someone that can make a difference so he's not fighting this battle completely by himself. Alright, next one, Shaun King. You know the guy, right? Yeah, so he has been doing anti-gun speeches forever. Well, he recently bought a guard dog for $40,000 and he has round-the-clock security. His defense, because remember, all his money's come through donations, so he got kind of thrown under the bus a little bit because people donate to, they're like, what are you wasting our money on? His defense was he needed a $40,000 guard dog and 24 hours, 24/7 security because of New York gun laws don't let him have guns. And even if they did let him have guns, because of the way New York gun laws are set up, should he use that gun, he's going to get prosecuted anyway. So that's why he isn't defending himself with a couple $100 gun. He's spending thousands and thousands of dollars of the donators' money to buy these things. So what he's saying in his statement is anybody that's not rich is a second-class citizen and they don't deserve to defend themselves because the only way they could defend themselves is with a cheap, affordable firearm. If you want to defend your family, you, one, need to get rich. Obviously, have people donate to you because that works really well. Two, you need to buy a guard dog, which he couldn't even handle, he had to get rid of, because unlike a firearm that's just sitting there passively, not hurting anyone, and if you need to use it, it's there, day or night, 365, 24/7, a guard dog needs to be taken to the bathroom. It could bite somebody. A guard dog can actually hurt somebody that you don't intend for them to hurt. A guard dog is not just something you buy and now I have self-defense. That is a 15, maybe even 20-year commitment. A firearm you can buy and just put it in your nightstand drawer. There just in case of a rainy day. Or something crazy happens, it's there. It doesn't need maintenance. It don't need to be taken to the bathroom. You don't have to worry about it biting somebody you didn't intend for it to bite. It does exactly what you say, when you say it, on demand. A guard dog is something to that's a whole nother level. Well, anyways, he winded up having to get rid of the guard dog. But again, according to his Instagram post, as long as you're rich, you're a first-class citizen. If you're not, well, you've heard my statements. There's no reason you should need a firearm. So anybody that's not rich is a second-class citizen. And that just rolled back over on himself. He made some of the most pro-gun statements ever trying to explain why he needs a $40,000 guard dog and 24/7 around-the-clock security. Pretty crazy. Like I said, the anti-gun arguments are just fraying around the edges. Things are getting flaky. There's little chunks just starting to fall off and it's crumbling. Alright, so the next crazy thing, if you're not familiar with gun buybacks, the whole point of those are to get ghost guns off the street. Now, depending on who you are, you will have a different definition to what a ghost gun is. The actual true ghost gun, like the real legitimate deal, is typically made in like the Philippine Islands. It has a serial number held right up to the real thing. Like say I have a Colt right here, this is the real deal. And I have a Colt right here, this is the real ghost gun. I would not be able to tell the difference apart. They have legitimate serial numbers. They are identical to the real thing. The only way to tell them apart is to actually run that serial number and find out Colt never made it. And that's the whole point of a ghost gun, is to look 115% legitimate, but it does not have a traceable serial number. So let's pretend it gets a bunch of bodies attached to it and it's left at the scene of a crime. They'd be like, this serial number doesn't exist. We never manufactured that gun. Anyway, they've taken that definition to what a ghost gun is basically a 100% copy of the real deal with a false serial number and everything, to a homemade manufactured firearm or a privately sold firearm. So the whole point of those gun buybacks is to get the ghost guns off the street. More specifically, privately sold firearms. So this genius decided, now remember, he did exactly what they wanted. He printed off 62 Liberators, which is just this crappy one-shot gun that may or may not blow up in your hand when you decide to fire it, depending on how well you are at manufacturing. Spending about $3 a piece, he sold them back to the gun buyback for a total of $47 in profit, because he got $50 a piece, $3 in filament to make it, netting him almost $3,000. And yes, they did get that. Like, the Liberator is the definition of the anti-gun's ghost gun. It's not really what a ghost gun is, but that's not the point. That's what they consider a ghost gun. A privately manufactured firearm, or a PMF is another word what the ATF uses for. And just raked them over the coals enough to where people, like politicians, had to start making press releases and redesigning exactly what a gun buyback is, because they didn't want to buy Liberators. They wanted to buy like usable AR-15s, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. It's nice to see people just piece by piece just ripping down the system, because remember, shall not be infringed. And this is not a document for the people. This is a restriction on the government, because if you tell the people shall not be infringed, it doesn't make any sense. Because what are they saying then? You're not allowed to steal your neighbor's firearm? Then why don't they just say, thou shalt not steal? Shall not be infringed only makes sense when you're saying it to government leaders. Look, you cannot infringe this at all. Nowhere in the Second Amendment are they granted the power to restrict what firearms you can and cannot have. As a matter of fact, in the Second Amendment, they even refer to a militia. So for a militia to be effective, you would have to have equal or better the firearms than what a standing military has. That's the only way for a militia to be effective. Shall not be infringed. Kind of went off on a rant there. Sorry about that. Anyway, Appreciate you guys watching my videos. I love the support you've been giving me lately. Like, it's just a blessing. Thank you. Really, you're helping me through one of the hardest times of my life. Anyway, if you'd like to help support the channel directly, got my Patreon right there. I also have affiliate links in the description down below. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on it and doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway. I had a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.